I would like to introduce to you our new version of CIS 2025 Continuous Improvement Software. The first part of this presentation is the look and feel, or the CMS of CIS. So what we've done is we've redesigned the menu systems and the looks and the input forms, the way the fields are displayed. So it's a cleaner user interface. And as you will see, it adds a bit of nostalgia for those of you who have been with us since the very beginning. You'll notice some similarities to the menu systems, and we've modernized the fields. So let's have a look. We have our new menu system. And it's quite quick, it's quite nice. And the submenus, it all looks nice. What's interesting about this new system is when we apply it to your system, you can choose to have it any color you want. The menu bars, the submenus, the highlighted menus, the font, you can choose the colors. It's important to note that you give us the RGB or the hex codes. And once you've chosen those colors, we apply them. If you change your mind later, there will be an additional fee. So make sure you've got your color scheme the way you want when we place the order. Now, some of the nice changes, for example, if I go into management procedures and I grab a procedure and I click properties, you'll notice that when we click edit, we got this nice new user-friendly, clean-looking user interface. So it makes the screen inputs a lot nicer throughout the board. If we go to auditing and planning and we select to edit and audit, we'll see that our user interface is a lot nicer. Okay, throughout. And you'll notice some new features here, which we'll discuss in a little bit. And the same goes for your nonconformities. So basically, we have a new menu where it highlights the records, and you'll notice that each record is separated by a color scheme. And this color scheme, again, you can choose it to be your own colors, whether it be green or red or slight light red, whatever the colors are. So this is what we call our new CMS, or our new look and feel. The new look and feel can be applied to your system without any problems. It can be applied to your system as it stands now, even if you decide you don't want any new features and you don't want to upgrade to CIS 2025, but you would like this new user interface, then not a problem. We can apply that to your system. So now let's take a moment and look at some of the new features of CIS 2025. And what's interesting as well is we can apply any one of these groups of features to your system. So you don't need to upgrade to 2025 completely if you choose that you just want the new document management features or the new calibration features. So let's have a look and see what those features actually are. Okay, the calibration module is the most exciting change that we've made in 2025. We've redesigned the engine that runs it. So in the past, when you did a calibration, you could set it daily, monthly, weekly, and you could set it for the next 5 years or 10 years, and it would put out a whole lot of calibration entries in the calibration log. Well, this is gone. From now on, when we set our calibrations, it'll set the next calibration due. And when that one's done, it will then set the next calibration based on the period. So it will readjust the period every time. So let's have a look at this. When we're in calibration log, all we have to do is add new. We choose a due date. So I'm going to choose the 30th of the month, okay, the 30th of July. And we can do weekly like we could before, and we could have every 2 weeks on a Tuesday, or we could do monthly or quarterly or half year or yearly. So let's do monthly. Okay, we're going to set this up for monthly. That's all I have to do. I click the due date, monthly, my job is done. So I scroll down and I insert the record. And now we have a due date of July 30th. Okay, and if we go back to the calibration, we'll see clearly here that the due date is July 30th for the calibration. Now, what's really new is watch this. So if I go to my calibration log and I were to calibrate this, so I edit this record, okay? So first of all, we have a few more dates in here. We have the date and time went out for calibration, date and time back in service. This is like a little log that'll keep track of the date that you removed it from service and the date you put it back from service and the date that the calibration was actually performed. So if you're doing your own calibrations, chances are the date and time out of calibration, back in service is important, but all the dates most likely will be the same or maybe not. So here we're going to fill out that we did it today. So I'm going to fill out that I did it on the 23rd of July at 11 o'clock. Okay, that it came out of service. And then on the 23rd, I put it back into service at 4 p.m. And I did the calibration on the 23rd of the month. And there is no certificate number because I did it myself. I can upload the results or I can put them here. If I have a snippet, for example, I could put in a snippet and then I can put in my calibration bar. Now, just keep in mind, if you want, you can have this field as a drop-down list. That's a very simple change. You can do it yourself or you can ask us to do it for you. And I'm going to update this. Now you notice the next due date is August 23rd. So this one here has been calibrated and the next due date is August 23rd, 2025. Okay, so what has it done? We set it for July 30th and a month from July 30th naturally would be August 30th. However, in this instance, we calibrated it early by almost a week. So we calibrated on August 23rd, July 23rd. So now what it's done is it's calculated the next month that's due. So it's now due August 23rd. Okay. Now, if you're not happy with that, you can adjust that date. But according to ISO, AS 9100, once you set a period, it's supposed to be within the period and not longer. So that's one of the major changes. And this will go on until we either cancel the instrument. So what we can do here is we can go into this instrument, and this is new feature. We can go edit, and down here we can retire it. So remember there used to be a date in your CIS that you could retire an instrument. Well, here we can retire it and it'll log in the date that we retired it. And we can bring it back to life at a later date and it'll log the date that it came back into service automatically for us. So, for example, let's say we sent it out for calibration, it came back and the calibration needed repair or something like that, or we're just not going to use it or whatever the case is. We click retired and it says, are you sure? I go, yes. Okay. So I add my comments, why I'm retiring it, waiting for more instruments to fix together. Okay, so I'm taking it out because I'm going to send it as a batch. So I retire it. Okay, and I update this. So now that we've retired the instrument, we can look at our retired instruments by clicking Show Retired Items and submit it. And we can see here, this is the one number 15. So first of all, we have a view retired logs. So if I click it, we can see that I retired it on this date at this time. The notes waiting for more instruments to fix together. It was not pulled back, so it's still retired. So I can go into this one here and I can edit the record. And let's say I pull it back today. I pull it back. So I go repaired and back into service. So I pull back like that, okay, and I update the file. Now, once I pull it back into service, okay, then basically I would want to maybe add the next calibrations that are due. So if I look at this one here, and I look at my retired log, I can see that it was retired and it was pulled back on this date. So at this point, it would be to my responsibility to go to my calibration log, and you can see the last calibration is there. When we retired it, all future the next calibrations were taken away. So now that the instrument is pulled back into service, the one last thing we have to do is start the calibration process again. So we would click new. We would select the date, most likely today's date, and we would select monthly and just insert it and then go ahead and calibrate it, and it should be back in service, right? Okay, now that's a big change, but that's not the biggest change. Let me show you one of the biggest changes we've made to calibration that will streamline your process no matter which way you're doing it, whether you send instruments out for calibration or you do the calibration in-house. So the first thing that you'll notice that's different is when we go to print calibration maintenance list, we now have an area for the results, okay? And in addition to that, we have the ability to download the CSV file. So what does this mean? It means number one, we can use this to send to the supplier if we're sending it all out for calibration. And it gives them the serial number, the location, the asset number, and the description. If we're doing it in-house, we could download the CSV file and we could put our calibration results right here in the file on our computer. And when we're finished, we just have to save the file. And instead of going into the records one by one by one, so if you have 100 or 200 instruments that require calibration and you're working on it over a period of a day or two, you can record these results. And then, okay, what's really interesting is we can go to calibration maintenance details and show all late calibrations, okay? And if we had like multiple ones, so let me just show you all, okay? What we can do is we could select all of these, okay? All of them, or whichever are late that we're working on, and then we can set as complete. And here, we have the cost, and you have the date and time out for calibration, date return to service, date of calibration, and here you could upload the file. So if you sent it out to a supplier, you would ask them to put all the results into one PDF file for you. And if you did it yourself, you could just upload that CSV file or Excel spreadsheet. And what'll happen is it will update all of the records and schedule the next calibration due date. So how simple is that? If, for example, I'm sending things out, I would just print my list, send it out. When it comes in, I look at the reports, they're all good. I just complete my calibration and all my records are updated instantaneously, and the next calibration due date is scheduled according to the date of the calibration. So if it was calibrated date was July 23rd, then it'll be August 23rd. If the calibration date was July 30th, it'll be August 30th, a month from the calibration due date if you selected monthly. So some of the last changes you'll notice in the CIS is we now can show calibration records, maintenance records, so we can show the difference. If there's just maintenance records or just calibration records, we can show late calibration, late maintenance, and of course that's a new field within the system here. Okay, let's move on to document management. So one of the things we'll notice right away is this bar floats now. In the new system, if we have a lot of procedures and we're scrolling, we don't have to scroll back up. We can select a group of procedures and we can revise it here without having to scroll all the way up. So that's a major change and quite a nice one. The next thing you'll notice is if I go to, for example, management procedures here, and I'm logged in as administrator, okay? And you'll notice that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 procedures that are approved, and these ones here are not approved. They're uploaded, okay? So one new feature that's available to the administrator is the ability to approve a group of procedures all at once on behalf of everybody, the reviewers and the approvers. So This is not available to anybody in the system, for example, the managers, associates, and everybody else. But for the administrator, this is a new feature and it can save time. So let me give you some examples. When you're starting off with CIS and you want to upload 20 documents or 30 documents and they're already approved, you're uploading them just to get them into CIS. Now we can click approved and it'll still have all the people's names that reviewed it and we can put in a comment. Okay. So if we were to approve all of these, for example, I can say select all pending approved and it will show me this. Okay. All of these documents. And if I go to approve them, it asks me if I'm sure, and then I'm going to put in a comment. And this comment should be very clear and comprehensive, explaining that I'm approving this on behalf of everybody. So that means this comment will go for the reviewers and the approvers in your CIS system, but they'll all be approved. So here I'm going to put in a comment. Okay, so I'm entering this. And once I approve it all, these documents now become approved. Okay, very nice, but limited to when you would use it. But we've seen it and we've had it requested from companies who are having trouble getting people reviewing the documents and it's lagging time and they need to move on and get it approved. So this is a quick fix for that. And it's also excellent when you're uploading a group of procedures all at once and they've already been approved and it's just to get them into the system. So now another thing that we have that's new is the ability in the document list, we had showed a list documents with revisions, and you can see that we have all the comments here. And you'll notice this was during training. So this was something that we approved everyone in the training session that we just did. So all the comments are there. Okay. But we can also sort by document type, or we can look at specific folders in the new system. So here we can say, show me just work instructions in Boston, or show me work instructions for welding, and I get the history. But more importantly, when you have a lot of documents, if you're a bigger company and you have a lot of documents in process of being approved, you now have the ability to say, show me pending approvals. Okay. And here I have work instructions. So I'm going to put all documents and it's going to show me all the documents and what's pending, who approved it, and what their comments were and why and who's pending approval. So that enables me to go after those people and see what's going on, why they're not approved. Okay. Okay, another feature we have that we've added in 2025 is the ability to undo a revision. How often have we uploaded a document or revised a document only to suddenly realize, darn, we forgot to put something in the header or the footer, or we wanted to add one little thing, or we made a spelling mistake and we just realized it when we looked at it and we want to correct that. So in our existing system, you would have to revise it again. Therefore, for example, if you had revision 2, you would go from revision 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3, all for one real revision. So in the new CIS, you can undo that revision. Now, this authority is given out to only who you want to have this authority, such as administrators or users or whomever. And we'll show you that in a second. So how it works is very simple. Let's say I have revision 2. So this is work instruction W001, revision 2, and it's a welding procedure work, and the document type is work instruction welding. So if I click on it and I click undo revision, it says, are you sure you want to undo this revision? I click OK, and I close it. So now you'll notice that WI work instruction 1 is now at revision 1. And all history of revision 2 is gone. Okay. So when we go to the document report and we look at, for example, we go back here and we show the document approval list, and we go to BAC where we were, and we go down to this work instruction welding W001, revision 1. There is no revision 2. So this allows us to now upload revision 2 again. So we could go back to our document section and we could click on welding 1 and revise document to correct our mistake. Now, this is only available if you wish it. It's a feature that you can control under your settings here, and you can choose who has this feature in their system. Here it's defaulted as only administrator. You can take it off completely, or you can add it to as many people as you like. Okay, I've talked enough for today, I guess. There's a few minor changes in all modules. For example, when we go into auditing, you'll notice that when you're doing an audit, you can now add a finding to lessons learned. So not only does your library of lessons learned come from nonconformity, customer feedback, corrective action, now when you're doing an audit, if you feel something should be added to your library of lessons learned, you can add it directly from the audit. And of course, if you're on our older system and you don't have this audit, this is a completely new feature for you, the ability to create audit actions and so on. Throughout the system, you'll notice changes. We've integrated AI. You'll notice in nonconformity, corrective action, calibration, auditing, you can have the AI to assist you. So for example, when you're working on your system and you want to do the 5 eyes, you can click the AI button and it'll fill it in as a suggestion. You don't have to use it, or maybe it's perfect, but it'll suggest it for you and word it for you. And the same with root cause and immediate containment. All of these features are available and integrated into your CIS 2025. So contact us to learn more about how you can get some or all of these features added to your CIS system. And let's start working together on making this work for you.
Contact us now at www.tqms.com.